Hello again, Transformer fans. Sparkster1701 here, and today we're going to take ourselves on a trip to the moon, courtesy of today's reviewed toy, Blastoff. Blastoff is the last of the small Combaticons. He was released in 1986 and would be available in 1987. He would be discontinued in 1988, and his function of a space warrior would not get a replacement. Although some would probably cite that some of the Seacons that came out in 1988 would be his replacement. Blastoff here is an interesting figure, as while he is built to resemble a space shuttle, obviously just by taking a look here at his arms. Those of us that remember the old cartoon would know that Starscream built the Combaticons out of wrecked vehicles left behind at Iwo Jima from World War II. Now, granted, Blastoff formatted himself into the space shuttle after the personality matrix was placed inside of the airplane that he was originally. It still seems like a stretched concept from the cartoon to believe that a World War II vehicle would format itself into a modern-day space shuttle. As far as articulation goes here on Blastoff, he does have some more than what the average Transformer of this size did. Due to the nature of the way his hands are, his hands can be rotated around. I believe they can go all the way. While his shoulders, he can't rotate his arms at the shoulder to swivel them all the way around. He can stick his arms outward a bit, and due to the way he transforms, he can raise his arms up in the air. I surrender. Not bang. One other thing you gotta notice about him is that he does look a little bit more imposing than some of his fellow Combaticons, especially with the addition of these cannons down here at his legs. Take me to your leader, Earthling, or I'll blow your kneecaps out. Okay, to transform Blastoff, he's pretty simple, just like all of his buddies have been. Start by removing his gun from his hand, and remove the cannons from the sides of his legs. One thing I want to point out before we further go into the transformation is that, like his fellow Combaticons, he does have a variation depending on the type of material used for his chest. This is an early one, and as you can probably hear, this one is a metallic chest. So this would be an early 1986 release of the toy. Later versions would be built with plastic chests. So keep an eye on that for those of you who prefer first editions or whatever. Now, to transform him, we simply have to rotate his hands so that the holes in them, this side right here, get it up close so you can see the hole there. Rotate those so that they point inward. Then we will turn his arms so that way his hands and such would be facing up. And then move the arms at the shoulder above his head. Press them together and then push them downward so they're flat against him. We come here onto the back side. We push the legs inward. Raise up the tail fin and lower the wings. Rotate him over here. Maybe we can get him out of the shadows a bit. And then set him down there. And there you have it. Zoom in on him here a little bit. That's good enough. He is a brownish-colored space shuttle. Not unlike the more common white space shuttles that we're more accustomed to seeing, like this one here, the Super GoBot Space Sea. But if nothing else, Blastoff, like his other buddies, does have an attack mode. Simply take his two cannons here and plug the posts into the larger engines along the bottom. And then, now we have an attack shuttle, which I kind of doubt NASA even considered, since right now at the moment the world hasn't gone all Independence Day yet, as far as we know of. For those of you X-Files fans, we'll take a look here at his accessories, and as far as the small Combaticons go, Blastoff has the second most accessories amongst his small Combaticon brethren, right behind Vortex. First thing that we'll take a look at here is his handgun, or as it's known as on the instructions, as an ionic blaster. It's made all of plastic. Here's the opposite side of it here. It's got a nice little sight to see through down here, even though with all this junk up here all along the top, can't really utilize it in any way, shape, or form. But I do like the fact that it does have the ammunition clip right here on the side. Makes for a quick, fast change in and out. That is, if the toy would allow his arms to move that far inward. And then we have a pair of sonic cannons. This one is the one that goes on the right-hand side of the shuttle. See, it has a small post that connects into the engines. On the back side, it has a hole that connects to his wings when he's in robot mode. Here's the left one. See what it looks like. Pretty much it's just the same thing, just flipped over in reverse. These are made of some good sturdy plastic, so they shouldn't bend or break easily. But still, they are starting to get more difficult to find on the aftermarket. Before we move on to his instructions and such, I want to point out a few things. That Blastoff is notorious for wear. As you can see, the stickers here on his chest are pretty well fading and slightly damaged from play wear. But something else to take note of is the pink paint scheme here on the cockpit windows. As you can see, there is some slight damage to it from play wear, and the same could almost be said for his eyes, but that shouldn't be as much of a problem unless you're using him more often as a leg for Bruticus. Something else to look at is for using him as an arm, the tab. This tab here that would allow him to connect to the shoulders to be an arm for Bruticus. It does tend to wear out from repeated usage. See, this time right now we got it all the way up, but if you don't have it perfectly all the way up, it just kind of hangs and flaps. We've all been there, haven't we? So for those of you who might be seeking one a little more perfect, that's something to keep an eye out on. Blastoff was a carded figure, and we'll set him aside here for a second. And as you can see, we do have his card backer here. It's in very good shape due to the fact that somebody just cut around the plastic edge here of the bubble to get him out. As you can see here by his price tag, this one was sold at a Kmart for $3.37. And up here in the top, this is a variation to his card backer, is that it was giving away free reflective iron-on patches. Now these patches would feature a single robot from the series, from all of the toy line. You basically ironed had your parents use the iron it onto a t-shirt, or in my case, when I was growing up, they got ironed onto a tote bag. You were really pretty much only limited by your own imagination on those. Supposedly there was some sort of prize giveaway going on with that, but I don't remember it. Some impressive artwork there of Blastoff, despite the fact that it gives him more posability than what the toy had. You see here he was number 3 in the lineup of the Combaticons. Turn it over here to the back. You can see up top he had his robot points. He was worth half a point. This yellow box over here was for the rules, referring to the game that the patches were all about. And then over here on the other end, we have all of the Combaticons. Show off the entire team and encouraging you to get them so you could build Bruticus. Right down here we have Blastoff. Strangely enough, they do not show him in this picture with his leg cannons. Here's everything that he comes with. How to make him into the attack shuttle. And then how to transform him. Mount all of his weapons on. And put on the stickers. And then over here we have mentioning of the rub sign. And of course on Blastoff it is here on his left arm. Collecting the robot points, since there were still some pretty impressive offers going on here in 1986, including a mail away to get some of the discontinued 1984 toys. So if you didn't have Optimus Prime or Megatron, this would be the way to go. And telling you to get a decoder from a box transformer to read the tech specs below. Taking a look now at his tech specs, it has a picture of him right here, which matches the box art on the front of the package. It's done in purple to say he's a Decepticon. It lists him as a Combaticon and gives his name as Blastoff. His function is Space Warrior, and his motto is, I destroy Autobots by choice, not command. Feels literally and figuratively above the other Transformers as he soars through outer space. Aristocratic, aloof, disguises his long-distance loneliness. Cruelly efficient at raining destruction on Earth. Flies at 26,000 miles per hour, stays in orbit for 8 months. Shoots powerful X-ray laser to hit target 12,000 miles away. In robot mode, uses ionic blaster. Combines with fellow Combaticons to form Bruticus. And notice that it doesn't make any mention in his tech specs about his dual sonic cannons, but indicates that he apparently has some sort of laser. So now we'll move on here and we'll lay the decoder over the tech spec grid so that you can get a look at his stats. And it shows here that his strength is 3, his intelligence is 8, his speed is 10, his endurance is 3, his rank is 5, his courage is 4, his firepower is 9, and his skill is 10. So he's fairly decent at his job, but he's also relatively weak and almost a coward. So, what do I personally think of Blastoff? Blastoff is a rather interesting character in some senses. I mean, he makes a decent secondary space shuttle following the prior year's release of Astro Train. Plus, he comes off looking better at being the space shuttle without having all the train kibble that Astro Train did. As a character, though, he is somewhat shallow due to the fact that he hides his loneliness by playing off that he's better than the others. The fact that he loves to rain down destruction from high above in orbit reminds me of an episode from the series MASH where they treated a bomber pilot, and showed him the destruction that he caused, that he basically was not aware of, flying by at the high speeds. So an episode sort of like that, to have covered Blastoff's emotions, might have been made for an interesting drama, but probably would have been above the heads of most of us at the time. I'd say he's probably about a middle-tier character at best. And that concludes my review of the G1 Decepticon Space Warrior Blastoff. If you like the video, thumbs up it here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. This is Sparkster1701 saying catch y'all later.